clicked on this video, you may know someone who has been through a miscarriage, you may have been through a miscarriage yourself, are dealing with infertility, and we just want to send out our condolences of your loss. We want to say that we are sorry. We want to say that we're also here, and we also want to give account of our story. So please continue to watch, and again, we are sorry for anyone who has ever dealt with this experience.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our channel. This is Andre.
And I'm Tishani.
Today we have a video for you. We just want to share with you some of what we've been dealing with. We were hoping that this would be a happy, joyful video, but yeah, we had some exciting news that we got pregnant, but things changed.
If you can tell by the title of the video, we experienced a miscarriage. An experience of a loss is devastating, but we know that we are going to get through it. We know that God is comforting us in this time. It's hard. We just holding on to hope, knowing that we're gonna get pregnant again.
For sure, we are. We found out Christmas morning, like, my wife came into the room Christmas morning with a positive pregnancy test. I was in shock. I didn't really believe it.
Me neither.
It took me a week or so to really believe it. Like, till we went to the doctor and they were like, "Oh yeah, you guys are pregnant." And I was like, "Okay, I believe it now," because it took us so long to even get to that point.
Yeah.
Like, we've been married for 6 going on 7 years next month, and throughout that whole time, we've never gotten a positive pregnancy test.
Never.
And we were actively trying at least for like 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years,
and
yeah.
we weren't preventing anything even before that. So we could say we've been trying for our whole marriage, and we haven't got any type of action, any type of positive pregnancy test until Christmas of 2018.
Yeah.
And we were, joyous. It was a wonderful occasion. Our family was happy. We didn't want to tell anybody early, but we just felt like we wanted everybody to come along this journey with us because it took so long.
Right.
And everybody was so happy and ready to welcome in the new baby to the family. And, we were starting to picture our life with the child and making arrangements.
Right.
Just ready to be parents,
Right. Mm-hmm. Everything in our life was lining up for us to be parents. Like, Andre wouldn't let me eat certain things. I was no longer carrying any bags. Taking my vitamins every morning. I was being really careful. Prior to us getting pregnant, we were going to the gym 4 days a week and eating better. And that totally stopped. Like, Andre cut it off.
Yeah, no more gym. He's
like,
to the second trimester.
Right. He was like,
it was
no.
precious, man.
Yeah. When it takes you that long
Yeah.
to have a baby, I think you get so overprotective. And I think even with our next baby, we're still going to be very protective. But we just started making changes in our life, adapting our life to being parents. We'll talk about what kind of led up to the miscarriage. It was a Thursday. I was having a lot of cramping, or I felt like something was wrong. I didn't think I should be cramping because the bad cramping had went away and it was just mild cramping. But this particular day was just a lot of cramping. And then I had told Andre, and then Friday actually started bleeding. And it was brown at first, and I woke up with a really bad stomach ache, and I was just like, my stomach hurts. Like, that's exactly how I woke up. Like, I was like, my stomach hurts. And then I just ran to the bathroom, and like, I just felt like something was off. And then the next time I went to the restroom, and it had went away. And then I had went to work, and when I used the restroom, it was brown and red, and it was kind of a lot. And then went to the restroom again, it was brown. It was nothing. So, all day I was just at work. I was nervous. I was crying. I was texting Andre, like, I think I need to go to the doctor. I think I'm having a miscarriage. Like, I felt like in my body and in my mind, I knew that something wasn't right. Like, I knew that I was having a miscarriage, but I was trying to keep hope alive, keep faith alive.
I don't know if I was in denial that something was going wrong. I was just trying to stay strong and be hopeful and continue to walk in faith and just encourage my wife, and just was being open to hear what was going on, what she had to say. But I really wasn't worried or anything like that. I just thought it might have been, you know, a normal part of the process because different things are changing, and you know, we've never been pregnant before, so everybody's body reacts differently. So I was just thinking that it was just, you know, normal. Something was going on, and baby was growing, and her body was changing. So, you know, discharge was coming out or whatever. But I wasn't like scared or anything like that. Yeah. And then on Friday, that's when we went to the hospital. We went after work, and when we got there, you know, we went to urgent care. The doctor checked, and they didn't really indicate that anything was wrong. They were, you know, telling it reassurance that it's normal.
Everything,
you know, you're
was
pregnant,
okay.
everything's fine.
Yeah.
But they wanted to take extra precautions, so they wanted my wife to take blood tests, and they wanted her to get a ultrasound.
They wanted me to do an ultrasound.
Yeah.
Initially, when we went to urgent care, they took a look. They did check my cervix, and at first they were super happy. Like, they were making jokes in the room. They were talking about my socks because I had 2 different socks on. I wore boots. So I had one of Andre's socks and one of my socks. So they were like making light of everything, just trying to help me because my blood pressure was really high, because pretty much I was in pain like all Friday at work. I was in really bad pain. My back was hurting really bad, and I was having really bad cramps, and I was just so nervous. But once he did the exam, like, I felt like it changed.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like he got kind of serious, and he said, let me call the OBGYN and see what they want me to do. First thing I did was I got blood work, and after we got blood work, I went to get my ultrasound, and we were sitting there, and I remember I was just so nervous. And I was just like, everything's gonna be okay, everything's gonna be okay. Like, I just kept saying that. They called me back to do the ultrasound, but they wouldn't let Andre come back, which I wish they did, but they didn't. When I first stood up, when they called us back to do the ultrasound, I felt like a rush of blood, or no, a rush of something. I didn't know what it was, but I know it was really, really wet down there. So she did the over the stomach ultrasound, and then she said, okay, go empty your bladder. Your bladder's really full. So I went to go empty my bladder, and when I was using the restroom, it was a lot of blood, and I felt this pressure, and I heard a plop in the toilet. And just instantly, like, I knew that that was my baby. I knew that I just passed my child, and I just started screaming. I started crying, and I just wished that Andre was there with me, because I was literally in the bathroom by myself. And I reached down and I grabbed my baby. I reached down, grabbed my baby out of the toilet, and I just had to say bye. Like, I had to see that that was our child. So I picked it up and I looked through, I was moving it, and I seen my child. I see my baby shaped like a little cashew, and I was hysterical. I was like screaming, and the ultrasound tech came towards the bathroom, and she's like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I said, I think I just passed my baby. Like, my baby just came out. And she was like, you don't know if it's your baby? And I was like, I know that this is my baby. So I wanted to keep it, but she said I couldn't keep it. So right then and there, at the doctor's office, you know, I had to flush my baby. So she asked me did I want to go through with the next ultrasound, and I was hysterically crying, and I said, sure, let's just go ahead and do it. I remember asking her, like, do you see anything? And, you know, they're not allowed to say that they have seen anything. They're not really allowed because they're not a doctor per se. So she said, oh, they'll just tell with your blood work. And she didn't tell me anything. So after that, I was just, after the ultrasound was done, she gave me a pad, and she was like, I'm so sorry. And she tried to comfort me, and she just like, I'm so sorry this happened to you, but I don't know, in that moment I just couldn't be comforted. Like, I knew I needed Andre. And so I walked out after everything was done, and I was just standing in the hallway, and she was like, do you want me to go get your husband? And I just stood there in the hallway and just cried.
When my wife went back for the ultrasound, they let me know that I couldn't go back, and I was kind of disappointed in that because I wanted to go back there and just be able to support her and be able to see our child for the first time together. So I was just sitting in the waiting room and just, you know, praying and just thinking like how happy I'm gonna be when my wife comes back or when they call me back so that we can see our child. When the doctor came and she called my name and she was telling me to come on, I was like, all right, cool, like it's time. Like, I get to go back, get to see my child, you know, I'm excited. And I come around the corner and I see my wife crying hysterically. And at that moment I knew, like, those aren't tears of joy. Like, she's not happy right now. And couldn't even really think or really imagine or that something bad happened, but from her tears I was like, you know, it can't be good. So I just comforted my wife. I held her, I allowed her to cry on my shoulder, and we stood there in the middle of the hallway while people were walking back and forth, you know, past us. And I didn't care about any of that because in that moment it was all about comforting my wife. And she was just telling me the experience of what just happened, that, you know, she went to the restroom, that the baby was in the toilet, that she picked the baby up and she actually seen our son. You know, we believe it was a son, and we even gave him a name. We call him Baby J.D. Ruin, and the reason why we call him that is because my sister-in-law Jaden, she was with my wife when she went to buy the pregnancy test, and so she was very connected and invested, like all of our brothers and sisters, but she was the first one to really even know, before even me, that my wife was pregnant. At that moment, it was just, you know, devastating. Like, as a husband, I didn't know what to do. You know, and a lot of times as men, we want to hold stuff in. We don't want to cry. You know, we want to seem like we're strong. And, you know, we have to be that, but we also got to allow ourselves to grieve as well, and be in that moment to really just let out our frustration. But it was a sad situation, and it was something that I never thought that I would go through or we would go through personally, especially after being so long of us not having any children or even getting pregnant. I was like, why did it have to be like this? You know, that was my first thing, like, why us? Why at this moment, you know, we were so happy and so joyful. We were making so many changes in our life, and really mentally is where we were making those changes. Like, how can we set things up for our child? You know, do we need to move? You know, do we need to switch jobs and all those different things? And I was just so excited. It was just like father mode. But in that moment, I was like, man, it's all going now. But I had to stay strong for my wife, and I did. But the next day, I cried. I did. I cried. You know, when I had to actually say what happened, I was on the phone with my mother, and I was letting her know, like, and as soon as it came out of my mouth, tears just came out, and I just couldn't hold it back no more. Like, it came to the realization, like, my son is gone. You know, our baby that we were planning for, that we were excited for, that we were making arrangements for, he was gone. You know, but I'm taking pictures. Look at her.
Why are you looking at me? I'm not in a good mood for this right now. Please
Look
stop.
at her. Look at that beautiful brown lady.
There's nothing beautiful about me right now. Please stop.
I'm feeling every piece. I'm feeling